Am I on? Am I on? Okay. Text says I'm on. I am wearing these glasses because my conjunctivitis is flared up and I look like hell. I got to go back to the Smoky Mountains. Tech, will you put up that picture of me and my daughter in the Smokies? Tech? Tech? After being in the Smoky Mountains a couple of days with my daughter, we were rafting. I told you about her. She's a colonel and an MD. I think she's the flies. They open the. Yeah. So this is, everybody needs to know this. Living in New York City is not good for you. It's not good. It's not healthy. You'll see this. And if Tech can find this picture of me and put it up. Well, I'll move on. I want to do a summary of my YouTubes, a little history of them. Started just a few weeks ago with the intention of giving everyone a college education. And I promised you a better college education than you could get at Oxford. I'm talking about undergraduate, liberal arts education. I got a couple hundred views a day for this. All right, now I'm getting 2,000 views a day. Why? What happened? All right, well, I critiqued Jordan Peterson. I would say that I completely debunked him by being the first person to ask himself, what is this man saying? What is his message? He's got hundreds of YouTubes and speeches and so on. He will talk about Peter Pan and Hook the Pirate and Captain Hook, or whatever his name is. Homer Simpson. So I analyzed his 12 rules and his basic message to young people was just to shoulder responsibility. And I realized, hey, this man doesn't know what he's talking about. He's telling Americans to tell the truth and never lie. Okay? So I answered the big questions that he raises, and I sort of created my own 12 rules of life, which is three. I have 3 rules that have nothing to do with his rules at all. So now I started getting thousands of views a day. So I want to do a summary, and I want of my YouTubes, or many YouTubes, and tell you why you should go back and watch them. Because you're not going to learn what I teach you at Oxford, or Harvard, or Cambridge, anywhere, any college. I went to the greatest university in the world. It was so rated in 1965 when I graduated from UC Berkeley. Because of its great science departments, postgraduate departments in science, in the sciences, physics, chemistry, biology. And I didn't get a smidgen of any of these very important things that I teach you in my YouTubes. And the most important thing that I teach you is how to think. And I have two great themes. One is meaning. How to ask yourself, what does this mean? And find the answer. The other great thing is to ask yourself continually, 3-4 times a day, what am I trying to do? And I explained that I was one of hundreds, I don't know, there's a multitude of injury lawyers in Tampa, Florida, in the middle 80s, I think it was. Started direct mailing to accident victims. Our investigators went through the accident reports that were turned in every week, and they picked out the accidents that showed injury, checked injury. Okay? So they brought all these accident reports to us, me and 100 other attorneys, and we sent out a letter. Come to me, I'm the best, with your injury case, right? And I had just been doing this a week when I asked myself a question that any of these 100 or so lawyers could have asked, but didn't. Okay? What am I trying to do? And as soon as I asked that question, within 60 seconds, I had solved a problem. The problem was, how do you make this word advertisement on the front of your envelope disappear? Okay? I tell about this in YouTube, how I did this. In 60 seconds, I went from what am I trying to do to this is how to do it. 60 seconds. Okay, without any college contribution, I took no cases in advertising, marketing, graphics, art. This, it took me 30 seconds once I asked the question, probably less, as I figured out how to make the word advertising disappear. Now, so people are opening up their mailbox, and all, and 50 letters are falling out, and they look at them, advertisement, and they throw them all away, right? Well, I made millions of dollars in legal fees in the following years without having to do any work. I didn't try any of the cases. I got policy limits on all of them. I can remember. And there may have been exceptions, but I can't remember. Yeah, so those are the two big themes, okay? What does it mean? Okay? And what am I trying to do? Okay? And I give you, countless examples. And if you learn these two concepts and you learn how to apply them, you're going to be much better educated. I mean, what the hell do you get out of college if it's not an ability to understand the world you live in, right? My three, I reduced. I threw out all of Jordan Peterson's rules as not being of the essence. They're all good ideas. You should follow all of them. Stand up straight, don't lie. All that's great. Well, be careful about the don't lie. Okay, because I could tell the truth about things, and I wouldn't be here tomorrow. I mean, so many things, okay? Important things. Now they let me debunk Abraham Lincoln. They let me do that. And I was sort of amazed. And by debunking Abraham Lincoln, his claim that he had military done, showing you in one of my YouTubes, one of my most important ones, showing you that he unnecessarily devastated 3 southern states, destroyed 25% of the farmland in Georgia, South Carolina, devastated the Shenandoah Valley, during the last 9 months of the war, when he could have ended the war in a matter of 3 days max. And go to YouTube. I mean, you can't refute this. I'm asking people to comment. You know what? This goofball. I don't know. He got my text somehow, which is cool. He said, "Boy, are you afraid of Jordan Peterson? What a fool! You criticize someone, you must be afraid of him, right?" All right. So I talk about the concept of zombification, and I think it's related to Jung's idea of the collective unconscious, which is that before you know it, you have absorbed the consciousness of your society, okay? Before you even know it, okay? And that's why I am who I am. Okay? That's why I won numerous cases that no one would have undertaken in the history of the world. No attorney in the history of the world or since. We're talking about 16 years. Last since I was a lawyer. That's how I won. Because Americans told me things. I said, "You're full of shit." I knew this when I was a child. Okay? And these are things that Zombie Nation have held near and dear to them. For at least 80 years now. Okay? In many cases, 150 years. So Gertrude Stein, when she said most people don't see what they're looking at, she was talking about the same thing I'm talking about, zombification. Yeah, well, I was talking about Jung. I have a vivid memory that goes back to the age of 1.5. I can't be any more. I can't give you the exact month, but I could have gone back a little further. By the time I was 1.5, I was sitting at the table, dinner table, with my aunt, my only aunt at the time, on my paternal side, because my uncle. Let me make this simple. During the war, I was born in 1943, in the middle of the Second World War. Grandparents living in Cleveland. Both of their sons were at war, and at that time they were both in the Pacific. I take that back. I think my dad he could have been in Operation Husky. He was involved in all the big naval engagements. He was second in command of a destroyer. The Murphy until it was cut in two by an American tanker 75 miles off New Jersey, who said they mistook it for a German U-boat. Yeah, the profile of a destroyer and a U-boat surfaced. Okay, they were drunk and they were asleep. So I almost lost my father. I need to get all these dates. There's a USS Murphy. There's a YouTube showing it sailing into the harbor with the front gnarled. Because the prow has been cut off. My dad was in the prow and he sank with it. And he had officers under him. That one was a football player with Yale, and he kicked the porthole out. And my dad and the other officers and men swam to the surface. And my dad had a gnarled surface on his leg was gnarled. And he got a purple cross, Purple Heart for that. All right, so I rejected. The more I think about my life, the more I understand. Here I am, 1.5. The two daughters-in-laws, the daughter-in-laws of the sons, right, who are in the war, they're at the dinner table with me. I'm 1.5, and I'm listening to their talk every morning, and I remember understanding everything they said, and understanding the meaning also. And I understand. Not only that, this is how developed my mind was. My mother was a redheaded. She looked like Queen Elizabeth's little sister. She really looked like royalty. She was a chemistry major at Ohio State. She represented Marysville High School in the Ohio State Science Fair. Okay, my dad was Phi Beta Kappa. I mean, they looked like figures on a wedding cake. Okay, my dad was better looking than everybody else told me. He looked like a movie star. He was better looking than Humphrey Bogart. All right, so the two daughter-in-laws are there, and my Aunt Dolores was a buxom French Catholic, with a Latin name, and working class woman, and my mother dominated her, but she was always very kind and never said anything. But I remember a discussion of mother. I remember mother saying more than once, "Don't forget to pass the gravy." Aunt Dolores loves gravy. Now, this created a loathing in me for gravy. I didn't know why at the time, but I would not touch gravy until I was 10 years old. I loved it. But I sensed, I was very intuitive. At the age of 1.5, I understood what people were saying. They weren't talking nuclear physics, they were talking about what we were having for breakfast or dinner. Yeah, so here's what I'm talking about, young. Maybe you got the collective unconscious impressed on you. I didn't, because I was very critical. We moved from my grandparents' old palace, in a suburb with lawns. Grandpa had the only spare lot in the neighborhood, and he used it to. He had flower gardens, vegetable garden in the back, another lot next door on the corner lot. He had a horseshoe court there, and on the 4th of July, he held a fireworks display for the whole community. They all came to Grandpa's. I mean, he was the most respected man in the neighborhood. I remember the Irish police chief coming by. I'm a little child. See? He comes by to tell us we can do our illicit fireworks display. He was sergeant. This guy was a quintessential Irish cop, a really good-looking guy. A sergeant in the police. They tell us everything was cool. You'd taken care of everything. We could have our fireworks display. So I had this veneration of my grandfather. Right? All right. So my dad comes home from the Pacific with tales of kamikazes diving on his plane off Okinawa on his boat. So you can gauge from listening to me, how eloquent, well-spoken, perspicacious a 77-year-old could be. So you can compare me, my ability to think, communicate, express myself, to Joe Biden's. Okay, to see what a 77-year-old, how he should function. And one of the things I've talked about is I don't want to take over the country, okay? I mean, that's the last thing I want to do. I never worked in my life. At the end of my career, I had almost 400 cases, but I never really worked in my life. and I don't want to start now, but before you elect Joe Biden, please write me in. I think Trump's our greatest president since George Washington, but so many people can't deal with him. I don't understand this. I do understand it, but I think it's wrong. It's very superficial. They're talking, you see these intellectuals, have a long career, in the intellectual elite, the cognitive elite, right? And they're talking about how Trump is a moron and how Trump is a misogynist. And hey, that's throwing the first stone, isn't it? He who is without sin, let him throw the first stone. See? So Trump was not a saint, okay? We know that, okay? But see, that's not relevant anymore. Because all that's relevant now is, what the hell are we going to do? We got this mess here. We got this coronavirus, recession. Somehow, magically, I look at my portfolio, I'm way the hell up this morning because of the jobs figure. And Trump got us through this. I can't compare him to Adolf Hitler. He comes to power in 1933. Half of all tax revenues are spent keeping people alive, feeding the German population. That's 1933. 1936. It's a prosperous country. It's hosting the Olympics. You can watch, Lenny Riefenstahl's greatest documentary ever made, Olympia, about the 36 Olympics. So the Olympics are just no interest. Okay, 3 years later, Germany is the second most productive country in the world, and is able to make war on the rest of the world for 6 years. I'm not telling you that I'm in favor of concentration camps or anything or dictatorship. I'm telling you that Hitler did this through instilling confidence in the German people, and that's what Trump's done. Okay? That's what Trump has been. That's what he's managed to do. Through this epidemic. How do I explain as an economist? How do I explain this magic? This incredible phenomenon. Sure, people don't buy stock because of how their company is doing today. They buy stock in anticipation of future profits. So they have confidence in a Trump economy in the future looking like the one before the virus, and they see this unexpected resurgence, economic resurgence, people coming back to work, people working from home, and they have confidence that the Dow is going to get back to where it was before the virus. See? And Trump has instilled that confidence in them. So people are talking about the fact that he what's the word? I have a big vocabulary, So I have a lot of words, more than probably 99.999% of the population. So I'm thinking the right word for, groping women. Now they're talking about how this young man groped a woman. Come on, get out of town, okay? You don't hate Bill Clinton. He raped women, okay? He raped them, probably more than one. I believe personally the Clintons murdered, assassinated. God. They had an aide in the White House. God, what is wrong with me? This is what happens, When you start with a photographic memory, as a young man or a man. God. almighty, this kills me. See, if I wasn't uptight, knowing thousands of people are watching me, it would probably pop into my head. You know what I'm talking about. The guy that his body was found apart. I'm convinced that they killed him. Because, see, I understand what the context. Very few people understood it because our media manipulates us, to reinforce our zombification, so that people don't understand what they're looking at. I mean, as a lawyer, I knew just what the Clintons did in Whitewater, and I can explain it to others. So I read about it in the newspapers, and some left-wing journalist is describing it in a way that only an attorney could understand, and only an elite attorney could understand. In other words, the word is obfuscating. Okay, I'm running on trying to remember it. It's Foster. Something Foster. God. Vince Foster. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we hate. Hating on Trump, as the homies say. Hating on Trump. This man is unpardonable. This man is insufferable. Get out of town with this stuff. You don't hate on a president that's been the president for 3.5 years and been the most effective president since George Washington. Okay, you don't hate on him because he groped women who obviously were not sufficiently offended to go to the police. Really, we need sex police in this country so that if you want to date, you take a sex policeman with you, who has a camera on his body and who records everything. Because look what they did to Mike Tyson. He's going to a beauty contestant's room, a woman who knows him. At 4 o'clock in the morning, on the 10th floor of some hotel, walking down a long, dark corridor, goes to her room. Now he leaves, and she calls the police and says, he raped me. And there's no evidence of that. There's no rape kit. Did you hear about the rape kit? There's no rape kit. Did you hear about how she was beat up, she was bruised, she was disheveled, she had bruises, No. So an Indiana jury convicted this man, destroyed his boxing career. What was he guilty of? Okay. See, I'm able to understand these things. 99% of Americans are not because they've been zombified. Mike Tyson was convicted for being a nigger in Indiana. That was his crime. You don't want to talk about racism. My God. Yeah, no, racism, God, it's vastly worse than anyone imagines. And this, God bless Ed Bradley, for his YouTube on Tulsa, Texas. You've got to watch this. I don't know how many juries. There were 46 arrests of black people, dirt poor black people, some of them living in tar paper shacks. And they were arrested by a sociopath, Texas cracker dog who had been a rodeo man, a rider who was working undercover for the sheriff. He wasn't part of the police department. They had to hire a real sociopath to do what they wanted done. The sheriff did, because he knew what he was doing. See, Bradley is afraid to say this. And he's afraid to say that he doesn't even note the fact that this guy made 46 arrests for purchases. He says he gave these black people money for coke. So he goes home with the coke. And what happens to the 46 busts? The coke that he obtained. It doesn't exist. It disappears. There's no coke in the evidence room. No. So consequently, the sheriff has to know that it's. I think that poor Ed Bradley, he was so traumatized, by growing up black in this country. He's afraid to talk about the real implications of this. See, the sheriff gets a multi-million-dollar grant from the federal government to fight drug sales, drug trafficking in rural communities. So he's got to get arrested for this, right? And he knows he doesn't know about any such drug trafficking, so he has to make up bogus arrests. Yeah, and then, all right. So that's what he does. 46, almost all black people. No cocaine, and we know now there was no cocaine. That's admitted by all parties. So he knows it because there's no cocaine in the evidence room. This doesn't happen in weeks. It goes a prolonged period here. Okay? Fred Bradley doesn't tell you that all of the juries that convicted, white juries, that convicted these black people and sent them to prison for drug crime. Every single one of them knew that they were being railroaded and there was no cocaine. How do I know this? Because not just the juries, the judges also. They knew that the people were innocent. There was no evidence of cocaine. Right? The crack the dog, undercover guy, undercover agent, testifies in all these cases. I bought this cocaine. No. That's not enough. That's not enough. To allow a case to go to the jury, you need another element. You already know what it is. He can't say, well, I tasted it, and it tastes like cocaine to me. I tried some. No, he can't do that. You have to have an expert say, I tested this in a lab. I found out that this substance was in fact cocaine. Now you've proved your case. Without the second element, you have not proved anything. The judge had an absolute duty to dismiss the case and did not do so. Dismiss all these cases. All right. See, I please, everybody, study my YouTube about this Hall v. Billy Jacks case. Okay? How am I talking about that? Right. To do this trial judge, he had to know that the case would be affirmed without opinion by the Court of Appeals in Texas. Okay? He had to know that. He wouldn't have done this. I mean, this is outrageous. Here you've allowed a case to go to jury where the essential element of proof is lacking. I mean, it's like convicting someone of murder and you have no evidence. So you killed the person, or the person's even dead. You just know that he had the ability, he had the opportunity to kill somebody. It's like convicting someone of murder because they had an opportunity to kill someone without any evidence that he in fact did kill someone, or someone's dead. The person disappeared. He had motives maybe. See, I mean it's impossible. It's unthinkable. And yet it happened over and over and over. I mean, this is real racism. And how do we deal with this? We haven't even begun to think about dealing with this. Well, I don't know how to approach this because I'm talking to zombies. I'm talking to people. And God bless you all. I mean, my heart goes out to you. I understand what happened to you. It's happened over generations. And it's going to be very hard for me to de-zombify you. Okay? But let me just suggest something. When we say, what does something mean something? Okay? We're talking about two categories of things. One, Immanuel Kant's pure ideas, okay? Ideas that don't come from experience. in his great classic work of philosophy, most important work of philosophy of modern times, The Critique of Pure Reason. Right? So certain ideas are not related, do not arise, do not come from experience. Like the idea of number, okay? The idea of dimension, of comparison, bigger, smaller, earlier, later, okay? The idea is a priori, or prior to the experience. Okay, so the idea of number, the number of 3, precedes your perception of 3 pool balls on a pool table. So you can't have a different. If you differ with this, if you say no, 3 is the same as 4. Okay, well then you're mentally impaired. So you're delusional. If you say before is the same as after, you're delusional. Okay. If you say bigger is the same as smaller, you're delusional. Okay. Now, with respect to all other meanings are subjective. It's thinking of the expression, what does it mean to you? Okay? Well, I think that many people who are offering their opinions in this area of race and so on are going too far. And they're saying, you can't think this. You can't have this attitude. I had a black friend who wrote a poem about him. The trapdoor would open and I'd be down swimming with the crocodiles if I recited the poem. But he was a black painter, street painter I made friends with. I wrote a poem, Ode on Earnest. Maybe someday we'll be free enough, open-minded enough, mature enough for you to hear this poem. Right now, we're small children we're small children in the bodies of adults. Well, anyway, he believes that Warren's in my poem. Do I dare say this? God. See, this is American. I'm afraid to say something. Everybody knows. Because people are too sensitive, community standards. He had some really preposterous, funny ideas, which I put in my home. And God bless him. Hey, it's a free country. He changed his name to Rosenberg because he had found out that the first Jews were really black and they were the lost tribe. So he changed his name to Rosenberg, which is cool, Yeah, so he had some really funny ideas, as do a lot of white people. Okay? No question about it. But see, they have an absolute right to have these funny ideas. So ideas that you think are funny, or that they shouldn't have. But see, you go one step too far to censure them, okay, and castigate them because they have these funny ideas. Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to have certain ideas. Just because you're white doesn't mean you have. I mean, look at Candace Owens. I mean, she has the same ideas as white conservatives do in most cases. So it's a matter of an individual matter, okay? What kind of ideas you're going to have, what things are going to mean to you. People have to be allowed to. The Confederates have to be allowed. The Mississippians and Alabamans, treasure their ancestral memories and past. They've got to be allowed, to feel the way they feel. about their past. Just as Ernest has to be allowed to feel that he is a true Jew. Okay, that's cool. Laugh at them if you disagree. But this taking this seriously. I mean, it's not like there's an imminent, or there's a not just an imminent, but a remote danger from people having these ideas, and we have to beat these ideas. So we have to beat these ideas out of them. We have to suppress these ideas. No, as Americans, we have freedom of thought. Die Gedanken sind frei. Our thoughts are free. I'm supposed to be summarizing my YouTubes for you, telling you why I want you to to watch all of them, because you're going to learn things you're not going to learn at Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale. They're not teaching you philosophy. See, I'm teaching you to be a philosopher. That's what I'm doing. What a philosopher does is he asks himself the question: here's life, here's phenomena. What do these things mean? What can we learn from these things? If you disagree with somebody, tell them why. Tell them why. Be friendly, be nice. Tell them why you disagree with them. That's the way to change his mind. Not by tearing down a statue of Robert E. Lee, who he venerates. He has a right to venerate, even if you think he's wrong to venerate him. Okay? I think Ernest is wrong to have some of these ideas he has, and 99% of people would agree with this theory. But he's absolutely free. Let people attach the meaning that you can't change this. You're simply going to inflame people, antagonize people, by tearing down their statues. That's not the way to persuade them that slavery was not a good thing. Okay? I mean, that's make your case. Advocate. That's another biggie. See, I told you I'm going to teach you how to think, how to understand what things mean. Of course, this is always subjective. It's going to be based on values. What a given person thinks something means is going to be based on his values to some extent. So I'm going to teach you to think and decide for yourself what things mean to you, okay? Other than the pure ideas, of course. And I'm going to teach you how, to make millions of dollars in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, without having any money at risk. I mean, Warren Buffett has made billions of dollars, but he's got increase in the value of his stock. Okay? He's made billions and billions of dollars. He had all that stock at risk. He could have lost everything. See? But I, in making millions of dollars in 60 seconds, I had nothing at risk at all. I just had an idea that the other attorneys didn't have. Nobody ever figured out what I was doing. No one ever said, wait a minute, we see what you're doing. Huh? Because Americans are zombies. They don't think. For themselves, as Gertrude said, they don't see what they're looking at. So they can't even begin, to analyze something. So what are some of the other things I do? By the way, I think slavery is a very bad thing, and I'm very sympathetic to the abolitionists. as Holmes said, I feel you, my brother. Well, I do. I mean, it's really hideous. I agree with all that. See? I don't want to go back to enslaving people. Love slaves are a different thing, but the girl really has to love you. You can't threaten her. So you want to make the girl your love slave, but that's a different kind of story. That's cool. But if you do it, fair and square. See, I'm sorry, I have a sense of humor. You may find it, perverse, bizarre, etc. But I'm being myself. You're getting the true thing. Oh. See, I get off the track. I forget. I'll be getting. Well, this is 77, 81. I'll be all this work, right, to get to a point, and then I get distracted. I forget to get to the point. The point is that I have no collective unconscious mind. I was talking about being very perceptive and understanding at 1.5. So I was not influenced by what the society was telling me. Because I saw, probably by the age of 2 or 3, that everybody was full of shit. Okay, everybody had agendas, and not to believe everybody, not to believe anything. I was 2 years old, and I asked my mother, "Where is the sun going tonight?" Well, I can't understand this. Where's the sun going? And I watch it disappear over the horizon. Where is it going? And she said, the sun's not going anywhere, It's standing still. And she explained to me that we were rotating 360 degrees. Earth was rotating on its axis, and then at night, the sun was shining on the other side of the world. And we were in darkness, and it was shining on China. I want to find out if this is really true. So, I'm just a little child now. I just turned 2. I start digging a hole to China in the backyard. And I get all these other children, all older than I am, to find shovels, and we excavate this huge hole. I want to find out if she was right. I wonder how many graduates of. I bet you, if you ask a graduate of junior high school, American graduate of junior high school. Where does the sun go at night? That question. Can you answer this one question? I'll give you $1 if you can answer it. Where does the sun go at night? Oh, it goes down. Okay, thanks. Where does the sun go at night? I don't know. Aren't you a little bit curious, interested? Not really. It's just, it's the way it is, man. The sun goes down at night. Every night. It does this every night. I bet you that if you stand... I'm not talking about outside of Colombia, but if you stand, in a typical, where you have a typical mixed demographic of America, you start asking them where the sun goes down at night, you'll find out that they don't know and they don't care. And wait a minute, I was fascinated when I went to elementary school. I think we learned. I was fascinated by the explanation, and the Earth, going around the sun. Every year, that was a year. The fact that we were moving, I couldn't feel us moving. All this is fascinating. You see, half of our population, I bet you any money, half our population will not be able to give an intelligent answer to the question, where does the sun go back? What are we doing? We're housing them in junior high school, where they're enriched with this knowledge. I asked Tiny Tom, my poem. It's a cracker dog in Alabama. My poem says, it puts him in deepest Alabama. Okay? Born in a trailer camp in deepest Alabama. No, I call him a child of destitution, born in a trailer camp in deepest Alabama. Those are the words of my poem. I asked Tiny Tom, he's a very functional kid. He lived in this little crow's nest, in a loft. And he worked for the owner, the renter. He got so drunk he fell out of his crow's nest. But he was so drunk he was anesthetized fully and he didn't injure himself. I mean, it was he probably fell like 8 feet or something like that. No, I asked him, what war is Abraham Lincoln associated with? Don't know. What war was George Washington associated with? Don't know. Okay, well that's maybe half of our population. Right? So what are we doing? Let's try to help these people. Let's not make them memorize things they're gonna forget that the next day. They're not listening to. Who won the Civil War? What's the Civil War? Okay? I mean, that's half of our people. I mean, maybe it's 40%. It's a lot. Okay, so I was talking about one of my YouTubes. See, I got distracted. Yeah. I was talking about how I have no collective unconscious. I mean, when people said, I realized that people were full of shit. I realized people were stupid, when I was, 4 feet tall, right? And so I didn't listen. I took everything with there's an old expression, I can't think of it. I took everything with caution, with the idea that I would consider whether or not that was true or not. I was skeptical. I was skeptical by the time I was 5 or 6. I was very skeptical. And I had not been, all these ideas, I thought it was all white noise, most of what people were saying. I didn't believe people. I was right. Because it was white noise. So you are looking at the psyche, the real psyche, okay? And I think that's allowed me to write the poetry I wrote and win the cases I won and make millions of dollars in 30 seconds, because I have the cognitive ability to do these things I was born with, and they weren't. This cognitive ability was unimpaired. And people, who are impaired by the collective unconscious, who's thinking, Gertrude Stein is talking about the same thing. Most people can't see what they're looking at, don't see what they're looking at. Okay? Zombification. We're taught what to think, and we think these things reflexively. We never pondered them, we never questioned them. And we're talking about our whole lives. Everything is zombification, collective psyche, whatever you call it. I appreciate. I got 2 comments, and one of them was I didn't understand Jung. And he was right. Tim Kowalski was right. I didn't understand the collective unconscious because it sounded like 19th century metaphysics to me. Somewhere there was, like in Plato's cave, there was a collective unconscious. We all got, we're imperfect shadows of this collective unconscious. No. He's talking about a real phenomenon, how socialization and how we are zombified, from childhood to think what we think. I wasn't. That's why, as a result, I've come to many conclusions I don't dare discuss online. Don't dare. Unless I want to be eaten by the crocodiles, and unless I want to fade into nothingness. Okay. All right, so I introduced in one of my YouTubes my most important contribution to Western civilization, which I hope will be have the same influence. It should have a greater influence than Darwin's theory of evolution, because Darwin's theory of evolution doesn't have a practical implication. And what do we do about this now that we know this? And that's my theory of genetic obsolescence. And most people are just not smart enough to live in this insidious, predatory culture of commerce. They're not smart enough, and they're going to be undone. They're going to end up, having $60,000 a year family income. That's whites. And after 2 decades of this, maybe 15 years of it, they can't lay hands on $400 in an emergency. What's going on? They've been undone. What happened to all their money? They bought clothes with it, clothes they didn't need. I mean, our gross domestic product. I renamed it to gross domestic waste. It's not product. It's Americans buying things that they don't need, and in the case of restaurant meals, they're bad for them. Okay? I mean, 1.5 meals a day now, or what before the virus was eating in a restaurant, fast food. I mean, you want to see what fast food does? You look at Donald Trump. Okay? I mean, if you saw me in a bathing suit, you'd think I was. And when I got some oxygen in the Smokies, tech, please, you can find that in a second. All right, do it. Anyway, I look like Donald Trump's son, and I'm 4 years older than he is. Okay. What's he doing? Please, Donald, stop eating junk food. Stop it. Stop overeating. God. What is he loves this purple cake. Ooh. Yeah, so it's not people's fault that they are genetically unfit to live in this society. It's not their fault. I mean, they evolved from the trees for over 5 million years that they were evolving, right? And almost for all that time, we have no predators. So we have evolved ourselves. We have no natural selection anymore. We're not selected by nature. For example, packs of wild dogs eating us because we lost our forest habitat. That's how it happened, by the way, in Africa. So the dogs stopped eating us really quick, almost in the beginning, or we wouldn't be here. And so that was. I don't want to go back over my theory of how we evolved from the ape. The point is that it's believed now that we have been biologically modern men. You and I, what we are today, we've been biologically modern for 50,000 years. Well, multiply that times 5 generations. That's 2.5 million generations. Okay? When we're evolving ourselves, when we're the product of human selection, mate choice. Okay? So when this commercial culture, it's not culture in any sense, it's commerce, pure exploitation, okay, by your environment, by your society. That started 150 years ago. Okay? And by that time, see, we had evolved for 50,000 years. We evolved in a traditional culture which supports the individuals in it. Okay? It tells you how to do everything. A culture is a detailed set of instructions telling you how to do everything in life, how to grow food, how to prepare food, what to do with dead bodies. None of these things cost money. Okay? Now everything is very expensive, isn't it? Why? Because somebody's making a buck. Okay? All right? Somebody's extracting. I mean, that was always true in a sense, but now someone's extracting, the maximum profit out of the individual. He doesn't grow vegetables in his garden, in a that costs a negligible amount of money to go there. No, he's got you entranced. He's got you hypnotized by this idea. And when you walk through the Golden Arches, you're going to get a hamburger. You're going to be in hamburger land. And you sit down, and there's this explosion of flavors. And you don't even taste, this defrosted wafer called a hamburger. You don't even taste it. But you, as a zombie, a stupefied zombie, you are in golden. You've crossed through the Golden Arches, under the Golden Arches, and you are in hamburger land, and you're having a wonderful experience. See, so the zombie is entranced by this advertising. It's called branding. I mean, why do people buy Andy Warhols? They're hideous, perverse, sterile. Art. The great Joseph Conrad said, art appeals to our humanity. Well, that appeals to perversity. I mean, somebody smearing lipstick on the image of Marilyn Monroe. How is that art? How is that interesting? My first rule of art is art must be interesting. What's interesting about that? Okay. All right. How do these things get the great valuations they get? Millions. Why are they on so many walls? Because of, again, zombification. It's a form of zombification. I call it branding. Everybody knows now. When the whole society, they don't see the Warhol. They see $50,000. See, for this Andy Warhol piece, right? They don't see idiot boy Damien Hirst. He's not an idiot. What am I talking about? He's not an idiot boy. He's a goofball. Okay. To put polka dots, rows of polka of different colored balls. Okay. This is art. Okay. There's other thing with swirls. He takes a canvas. Now he puts it on a rotator. Swirls it around. Now he takes his paintbrush. And now you get a swirl with the paint. See. Now you take a different color. Come on. How do people come to value these things? Well, branding. Everybody hears about he sold a diamond-encrusted skull for millions of dollars, maybe tens of millions. He put a taxidermy shark in a glass case, sold it for millions of dollars. So everybody, I'm sure he did. Sure he did. Yeah. What do you give me for my diamond-encrusted skull? Yeah, he found somebody that thought it was worth $10 million. Sure he did. All right, but see, the public, no, they don't see the skull anymore. They see the value of the skull. They see two things. They see the skull, and they're awed. Okay, they're awed by the swirl. So this is by the name Damien Hirst. See, it's all. This is branding. Damien Hirst, Warhol. I can paint a Rothko that nobody can tell from a real Rothko. We had a Chinese man in Queens, destroyed the gallery, a 200-year-old gallery in Maid Lair. So why do people, fall down onto their knees and think of having a transcendental experience when they look at a Rothko? Branding. I mean, it's been beaten into their skulls that they're seeing something that's wonderful and strange and new and different, and only a great genius could do this. And it's worth, $100 million. As I said, my trashing abstract expressionism is not going to cause it to lose one penny of value, because these things are now now historical artifacts. Well, all right, so you want to be rich in this society? Well, then, you can't be genetically obsolete, because somebody's going to get all your money. You've been making a family, wife and you've been making $60,000 a year for 15 years. You've got nothing to show for it. Maybe the equity in your house, if you're lucky. You could have borrowed. I know Americans that borrowed on the equity in their house, blew the money, blew out the credit cards, and now they're bankrupt. And these are college graduates. One of them has a master's degree. I'm talking about people that are close to me. That's zombification. And that's genetic obsolescence. And these are smart people. Not smart enough. Not smart enough. They'll be very smart to escape our predatory society. There's something not to get you. There's a million voices saying, buy this, join this cult, join that religion, join a million voices. And one of them is going to get through to someone who's genetically obsolete. One is going to get through to him. He's going to end up with some cult taking everything he has, and maybe you're probably not old enough to remember the flower children. Korean had flower children selling flowers in the intersection all over the country. You had cult people in this. I can't think of the Korean's name. But you had people selling you flowers, raise money for the cult. I mean, we've had that 100 of us. We had the Bhagwan and his followers. And he had a ranch in California where he had all this cult followers, and they lived they tried to buy the Bhagwan a different Rolls Royce for every day of the year. They venerated the Bhagwan. Well, this is cultural. This is genetic obsolescence. All right, that's my most important contribution to Western civilization. That most people living in the West, not just here, but throughout Europe, and most people are literally too stupid to live. I mean, not in the world historical terms, Welthistorische, Hegel. Okay, not in terms of are they too stupid to live 200 years ago? No, they're living like everybody else. 1,000 years ago, 50,000? No. But today, yes. Today, they're not smart enough to see through all of the bullshit. All of the, I love the old expression, traps and snares, okay, of our predatory commercial society, where commerce has supplanted, extirpated all elements of our traditional culture. Our society is dedicated to doing one thing, and that's separating us from our money. Okay? That's it. Graduated from UC Berkeley, class of '65, having paid $40 a semester in book fees. That's it, because I was a resident. My dad got a job with Lockheed in Sunnyvale, California, moved us out from the farm, Michigan, left this job with Ford Motor Company, and I was a resident, $40 a semester. Yeah. I couldn't live with other people. I couldn't live in fraternities and things like that. It was too unique. Can't be too unique. You're unique or not. I was too unusual, too different from other people. So I get a room that costs me $40 a month, and I make my meals on a hot plate. My mother, guess how much my mother sent me every month to pay my $40 rent and to buy food. I didn't buy clothes. I had a couple shirts. I had one pair of pants at a time that I would buy from some Goodwill place for $3. I was perfectly happy. I didn't want to buy anything. I was not genetically obsolete. I wasn't interested in clothes and restaurant meals. I was interested in what I was studying, what I was interested in school. So my mother sent me $100 a month. And I paid my rent, and I ate. And when my pants wore out, I paid another $3, $4, maybe $2 for another pair of pants somewhere. I remember a student telling me that my jeans were, they flared out at the bottoms. I thought it was cool, like a sailor. I said, "These are girls' jeans you wear." I didn't give a shit. I didn't care what other people thought. I didn't care. All right, so why am I telling you this? Because your government has allowed, they are implicated in this phenomenon where my granddaughter just graduated from UC Berkeley, which was, I don't know, $80,000 a year it cost my kids, my granddaughter, $80,000 a year, compared to, let's see, 40 times, $80 plus 9 months, $900, not less than $1,000 a year. Okay, that's less than $4,000 compared to $80,000. Your government is 100% responsible because they said, borrow all the money you want, and we will back your, we'll allow you to get a student loan. See, so borrow $250,000 to go to UC Berkeley. It's heartbreaking. What happened? Well, we have a society of zombies that did not see what happened because they can't see what they're looking at. They're not interested in what they're looking at. They're interested in pizza, and entertainment. They have to stay distracted all the time. They have something going all the time. Video games, TV programs, Netflix. Yeah, so our government is supposed to be our best people. We're supposed to be protecting us. That's what they did to us. Yeah, they gave us trillions in student debt. Making college something that's unaffordable, out of people's reach. Okay. I'm making a sales pitch to you to go back and watch all my YouTubes because I go into more detail on some of these things. I guess I'm afraid people won't, so I'm summarizing things to make sure people get all of the things I've taught. All right, so I've introduced the theory of genetic obsolescence. Of course, there's only one answer to my theory. I mean, if you accept the truth of my theory, there's only one solution, that is better people. Make people like me. Make everybody more or less like me. I mean, that should be your goal. Yeah. You should have seen, I can't get technical with this picture. I can say my soul. Anton! Oh, God. Anyway, take my word for it. I mean, I look like Trump's son. In this photograph where I got all this great oxygenation, which I want everybody to do. Go to some place where lots of trees and lots of fresh air. Okay. I have a philosophy of many things. A philosophy of poetry and prose. My second most important contribution to Western civilization is my theory of the biological origin of art. That's going to take a whole YouTube. Go back and watch that. I explain how we evolved our artistic sensibility over 50,000 years. And it's a sensibility that makes us love the world, love beauty, the beauty of the world, love objects in the world. Okay? And it explains why Clement Greenberg was absolutely wrong. The art of the past was not inauthentic, and abstract expressionists had not discovered true art the first time based on these ludicrous non sequiturs. And the fact that abstract expressionism flamed out in 10 years to be replaced by the infantilization of art, also known as pop art. Okay, so I explained that, and no one has ever done anything like that. In philosophy. And no living person has ever done, explain the biology of art. One of the observations I made, I think, is really moving. Okay? See, our love of painting and sculpture is analogous to our love of nature. It's in our DNA. And look, we started out over 3 billion, maybe 3.5 billion years ago, as microbes in a boiling sea. Okay, the Earth is cooling down, and we find the same microbes in Yellowstone Park. The same microbes alive today in boiling water. Okay, so we started as microbes in a boiling sea, and over 3 billion years later, we're human beings. Okay? So we evolved from the microbe to more and more complex forms of life, invertebrates, vertebrates, reptiles, mammals. We're mammals. Okay? Now, so the Earth is our mother. See, we originated from the Earth, over 3 billion years ago. Imagine. So, wouldn't it be strange if we did not love our mother? See? So, this love of our mother, love of the Earth, of nature, of objects, this is in our DNA. That's why, I was an impressionable young man to a certain extent. I wanted to buy into this abstract expressionist baloney, about how this was the first authentic true art. That was the agenda, really, at the time. And it was nothing but cultural Marxism, nothing like the same. It was contemporaneous with Einstein's, with the love of Einstein, I would say, universal embrace of Einstein. All this. This was when 1940. We're in the Second World War. And these Marxist intellectuals like Greenberg, Rosenberg, they create this new aesthetic philosophy, promoting abstract expressionism. See? And I remember reading all these narratives like New Art City and by Pearl, very good book by the way, and I wanted to experience this romance of the Cedar Tavern, Jackson Pollock, a self-destructive artist, driven insane, by his genius. So he rides into a tree drunk and kills himself. So I wanted to imbibe all this stuff. I looked at these paintings and said, I see what they're talking about. I was just playing games. I was just pretending, I was trying to enjoy something, But then, after I kept seeing these things in the Met, so you got to see things more than once. I realized, hey, wait, I can do all this stuff. And these are just ideas. That's all they are. This is not art. Art appeals to your humanity, as Joseph Conrad said. Art must delight, enliven, and entertain, as Thomas Mann said. D.H. Lawrence said, art must enliven, make us feel more alive, and it does. When you read my Rossetti, The Story of a Middleweight, online, I'm still editing it, but there's a few mistakes in the first few chapters. But when you read this, you should feel more alive. You should be delighted. You should be entertained. Okay? That's what all novelists, great novelists do. Is that what abstract expressionism does? No. It was, see, I was enchanted by the novelty. When you see something that's different, you've never seen before. I was enchanted by the novelty and the narrative surrounded. I let myself be zombified a little bit, okay? I let myself be persuaded I was seeing more than I was looking at. Okay? But I realized now that, again, art has to be interesting. That's original in me. All art must be interesting. No such thing as uninteresting art. But that's the beginning, okay? Now it has to appeal to our humanity, okay? And then it has to be magical. Okay, so art has to have two qualities. One is that it has to be original. In other words, something no one else can do. Think in terms of Clay's twittering machine. I love Tway. And I've dabbled with modernist paintings. I showed them to you in one of my YouTubes. And I thought, geez, I could do these. I could do, he must have done 100 of these little, whimsical inventions, they're all fun, the successful ones. And I couldn't do it at all. Couldn't do it. All right, so you try to do some plays. It's very simple. You see how it's done. It's not like, the Renaissance paintings where they layered paintings. So you see the Mona Lisa and it's like magical. Where is this image coming from? No. This is just lines. Play. All right, well, you try it. It's very simple. You can understand where the magic is coming from. My favorite is a twittering machine. I love that. Okay, so all art has to be original. Nobody but the artist can create this. Okay? You can't have a Chinese man making Rothkos in his factory, mass producing. It can't be something that any skillful artist can do. You give me buckets of paint and sticks to put in them, and I'll make Jackson Pollock so the cows come home. I promise you I can do it. Right. So number one, it has to be original art. Number two, it has to have magic. It has to have an inscrutable quality, okay? That delights, entertains, and enlivens you. That appeals to your humanity. You fall in love with these things. That's an appeal to your humanity that makes you love it, right? Yeah, see, the abstract expressionist things, this is branding, how can you disassociate the fact that a big Jackson Pollock sold for hundreds of millions of dollars? So you're looking at this, and, you're looking at something, see, that dazzles people, that zombifies them, see? What else did I do in my YouTubes? This is where people are not going to go back and watch my YouTube, so at least I'll give you these summaries, these ideas. See, that you can chew on. And they will let you know, what you can expect. So you'll subscribe and you'll watch for my next one and listen to it. Okay, what I've taught you, you're not going to learn all these things in 4 years at Oxford. You're not going to learn the new things. You can't learn anywhere else. Or things that are as important as what I'm teaching you. You can't do this in 4 years at Oxford. Okay. So I don't know what was successful yesterday. I did 2 YouTubes yesterday. I got 2,000 views. I started out with 200 just a couple weeks ago. I don't know. It hasn't been long. I started out with 100, 200. Now I got 2,000 yesterday. Talking about, I talked about how I want you to paint. I want everybody to paint because it's therapeutic. Okay? That's why they have vocational therapy. You get therapy from, like my aunt, she's doing this. From, sculpture and painting. And I talked to a psychologist about this. he said that when you're painting and you're really into your painting, you're in the same mental state as meditation. And I find it just really, I have never been depressed. I've never been treated for depression or anxiety. In a short period of time, weeks maybe, I was very upset and I tried something. I felt like my brain was falling on the floor. And I stopped that right away. Boy, Jordan, he went on until he almost died. He had to be put into an induced coma when he did to himself. So I have, what's always kept me sort of psychic equilibrium, happy, content. I think my painting has done that. So I want you to enjoy the same thing I've enjoyed. I mean, how many nights did I paint myself to sleep? Well, if I couldn't sleep, I painted. I'd get up and paint some more until I could sleep. And then I actually talk about how to paint. I teach people how to paint. Start with your drawing. So I want you to watch that. I want everybody to paint. Everybody's got a mustard seed of talent. That's I do. I mean, I'm not more than the smallest amount. But you see what I've done now. I took a mustard seed of talent and I've painted better modernist paintings than Damien Hirst. My Cubist tropical birds. I mean, I'm sure you'll agree with me. They're better than swirls or polka dots. My Cubist tropical birds and my faces. And I'll show you how I got from having what I thought was no talent at all to being able to paint better than Damien Hirst, which I don't think is a big deal, by the way. I'm comparing my best Cubist tropical bird. Oh, I'll show it to you. It's a summary time. I'll show you my best Cubist tropical bird. Oh, here's one of my best paintings here. It's right here. I showed this to you yesterday. This is the night. This is an abstract face. Colors, dig the colors, forms. Start with drawing, draw. Before you start painting, so dark. Okay. So I couldn't do anything when I started. I got to this. Hey, bring me hey, Anton, bring me this painting here, the Cubist tropical bird. I want to show the people. It's right here. No, a big one against the wall. All right, here, you do this. Tech, do this. Get this bird on the screen. I can't figure it out. It's so antiquated, man. Put it on the screen so people can see it. You can figure out how to do it. It's not easy. You got it? Yeah. Okay. My tech guy for this all right. That I consider my masterpiece. All right. Is it? How does it compare to twittering birds? It's like comparing a golf ball to the planet Jupiter. It is a lesser work, I would say. Somebody might disagree. That would surprise me if they did. Okay. So I want everybody to paint. I want them to take that away from my talks. See, I'm not just teaching you things, explaining things for the first time. Art, society, psychology. I'm also trying to help people to do things better. For example, I want them to be paint. I gave away 500 paintings to my clients. They were people that would never be able to afford a real oil painting of any kind of merit in their lives. So I've never walked into a home and seen a Monet or Degas. I'm trying to think of this one painter, 19th century painter, painted a million paintings. And, it shouldn't cost that much, but no, I've never seen a oil painting that wasn't just a tourist schlock thing. People don't even. I explained to people for the first time, for most of them, that what I've shown you, you're not looking at oil paintings. See? You're looking at an artificial simulation of the oil painting. The oil painting is much more visually exciting and compelling. It's just, it's like, think of listening to the Ninth Symphony, played by a great orchestra in a concert hall, comparing that to listening to it on a transistor radio. You're seeing my paintings. What you're doing is analogous to doing that with a transistor radio, or seeing it on the screen. That's not what oil paintings really look like. I mean, they're really they're wonderful. You've got to go to museums and see the great paintings. I talk about, my mission. As the Blues Brothers said, I'm on a mission from God. I want to make everybody a connoisseur of all things, which means as many as possible. So I talk about connoisseurship, how you develop it, and I start with the example of paintings. Paintings I want you to see. When people start going and seeing them, I'll tell you how I experience them. So I want you to see things you might not be seeing, that I do. I see. As a sophisticat and a connoisseur of all things, which I am. So I want to make you a connoisseur of all things. Does Oxford do that? Does anybody else try to do that? No. So you can't get this anywhere else. I want you to develop your writing. I haven't figured out how to teach people to write poems yet, but I've got a lot to say about prose. I think will be helpful to you. And I've read one of my YouTubes. I read the first chapter of Rossetti, which could be the best novel since Don Quixote. And hopefully you learn a lot from that. So please go back and look at that. Why do I think so now I'm talking about my philosophy of the novel. Why do I think it's the best since Don Quixote? Because it performs its function better. It does a better job of doing what a novel can do, which in my opinion is to, be interesting, delight, enliven, and entertain, appeal to our humanity. In other words, be art, yes. Okay? But Dickens' novels are art, and Camus' Stranger is art. The other thing that a great novel does, for example, a Dickens novel, Anna Karenina, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Boris Karamazov. Great novels are serious studies of the world. I mean, the contemporary world of the author. And I can do things. I explain this when I'm in YouTube at great length. I can do things that Dickens couldn't do because I don't have the social restraints on me. Imagine if Dickens had written about baby farms. He writes about, child labor, poverty, debtor's prison. He's well aware of baby farms. And I give this as an example of what I could write about, but Dickens could not. You watch Upstairs, Downstairs, or something similar theme. The wealthy, the aristocrats living upstairs, the serving, the help, the cook, and the maids, and so on, living downstairs. You don't see children downstairs, do you? The young people. Where's your children? There's no child of a servant in all of upstairs, downstairs. Well, where are they? They're dead. Okay? And they're taken to baby farms. They're pretending to be orphanages. The maid gives up the baby. Well, we'll take good care of her. She gives her money and then puts it on her mind. She knows that the infant's going to be destroyed. Parliament had to pass a law to put an end to that. We don't know how many hundreds of thousands of infants were destroyed. I could write about that stuff. See? I can express my opinions about things. I don't do that. Come out and say, hey, here I am. No. I do that with the events. See? I express the ideas through the events in the novel. So I have a philosophy of prose, which many of the Nobel laureates didn't have. I think they were wrong. For example, Saul Bellow, who was a very great writer. I love his Easy Day. I think it's one of the greatest short stories ever written. It's been a short story and a novella, long short story, a lot of content. A really great piece. But I am the first philosopher of prose who has decided what the function of words in prose is. Updike doesn't agree with me. He thought that his work is full of virtuosic prose. Prose that makes you stop. Ponder it, the brilliance of it, be dazzled by it. They use this in his obituary. They quoted him as saying in the novel, "The dimpled golf ball looked astounded." Well, see, that's a big mistake. Because what are you trying to do? Remember, there it comes back again. Ask yourself, what am I trying to do? So I asked myself, what am I trying to do in my novel? And immediately I knew the answer. Answer that Updike never learned, Saul Bellow didn't understand. I would say most of our modernist writers, they didn't really understand this, what they were doing. Okay? To the extent that I do. When I write a novel, I am a magician, a sorcerer. What I'm doing is I am evoking an imaginary world. So when you step into this world, I want you to feel alive in the world. I want you to feel its reality, its existence. Well, I have to hypnotize you. I have to cast a spell. The last thing I want you to do is to stop and ponder my virtuosic prose. No. The function of words in a novel, short story, prose, is to evoke a world, an imaginary world, and disappear. call it my invisible prose. And this also allows you, you can start reading and just lose yourself. And before you know what you're doing, you're in the third or fourth chapter. Okay? That's what I want. That's how I want you to experience my novel. The first person is unique, and it gives me more latitude. And you'll see that when you read Rossetti, which is written in the first person. So I know I've missed a lot of things, but I think I've hit on the most important things, most important things. So please start from the beginning and go through all my YouTubes. Tell me if you don't want to do this, if you don't have the time or energy. It's too much of a. Tell me, and I will continue reviewing. I'll continue this review. I know there are things I've forgotten. We're talking about hours and hours of YouTube. So, if you're not up to this, going back and tell me, and I will try to summarize. I've been all over the waterfront today for this. I even got into this. Living in a sociopathic society, where judges redact material from testimony. That's my personal experience. They redact personal. I've never seen a judge actually create a false transcript, false testimony. But I've seen testimony, the essential testimony, just being redacted, so it's not there. You can't appeal it, so it doesn't exist. Okay? And then this experience I had in the last few days of reviewing a 1982 case, which I appealed. I won a $240,000 verdict. The defendant appeals it to the Court of Appeals, which is intermediate between. Here's the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court, Trial Court, Court of Appeals, Supreme Court. Okay? So you don't like a verdict, you go to the intermediate court, which is the Second District Court of Appeals, Lakeland, Florida, from Tampa. Right? They did that, and the judge took away my $240,000 verdict. Judge Boardman. He entered judgment for the defendant on the grounds that he found that the defendant had acted in self-defense. It wasn't the defendant, it was the assailant. The defendant was the bar. He entered judgment for the bar because he said the assailant had acted purely in self-defense. And there was nothing in the transcript to suggest this. He couldn't redact the transcript because he made up, in his opinion, testimony wasn't there. And so I go back and I start with the Supreme Court decision. Yeah, that's the same. I remember that. And it's based on the original transcript of the second DCA, which won't exist anymore. And it's based on the original second DCA decision. So it goes to the Supreme Court, and they uphold my verdict to the extent that they encourage the second DCA to take another look at the case. They don't reinstate the verdict. But they say, we think you're mistaken here. Please take another look at this case. And so now I read this second DCA decision that I appealed from. I remember it vividly, word for word. It was a very short decision, one paragraph. And now I've got a 5-6 page decision that's has no relationship to the testimony of the trial. It's imaginary. Witnesses, all kind of crazy stuff, right? That had been created by the second DCA had removed their original decision, created this bogus decision to explain why they did what they did. Because the original decision showed clearly that they were on the take. There was a payoff. If you read the second DCA decision, you read the Supreme Court decision, you know the second DCA was on the take. So now the Supreme Court says, no, we got to pay this one. And we don't want anybody to read this decision you wrote. Okay? Because it shows clearly what you did. You guys are on the take. So Kerry's got to pay this. So you add the assailant as a party, which we have done. I'm making YouTube here, and I realize, wait a minute, this says Billy Jacks versus Spillers and Billy Jacks. No, I'm looking at the Supreme Court decision. It has a style. The style is Eugene Hall versus Spillers and Billy Jack's Tavern. And it dawns on me, wait a minute. I never added Spillers as a party. He was not a party. I didn't know the Spillers existed until 2-3 weeks before the trial, when my client got sober and he told me who hit him. I would have had to file a motion to amend the complaint. I would have had to add the party. It would have taken another year to get to trial. Okay? And here the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals is adding a party, which was important, to this narrative that they were creating, which whitewashed what the second DC had done. You got to watch that. I did that yesterday. I did the footnote, and the footnote basically you got to watch the original, which I did 2 days ago, because it puts up the decisions on the screen. Okay? So that's a biggie. Sociopathy in our society, how widespread, how universal it is, with exceptions. And I talk about that. That may be the most important thing I'm talking about in all my YouTubes. You may want to go back and read about Wells Fargo and 2008 and my conclusions about what this means. See, again, two things. What does it mean? What am I trying to do? Those are the two things I want to inculcate into you. I want to make them part of your apparatus, your cognitive apparatus. You start understanding the world that you're living in by asking, what does this mean? You start functioning better by stopping and saying, what am I trying to do? Half the time you're going to say, wait a minute, this is not a good idea. Don't do this. Okay? So, I've had 2 comments so far. Somebody said that I must be afraid of Jordan Peterson. That's pretty funny. And somebody corrected me told me to go back and read Jung's collective unconscious, which I did, and I changed my mind about it. I'll talk about this. Okay, so I hope I haven't overdosed you. I want to give you vastly more than you're going to get at any college in the world in terms of the liberal arts, and then much more. So, see you soon. God bless everybody. All right. Anton? I'm sorry.